It's dark outside and I've been hard at work getting fried. Welcome back to Bestie After Dark, where I get baked as hell and I tell your worst or most interesting dating, romance, and bedroom storytime submissions. As a reminder, if you would like to get your story to me, please visit ycbestie.com/bad and fill out my form. There was this one time. Okay, so for our next Bestie After Dark story, wait, first, look at what the frat man got me for my birthday. It's a Bill Bam, and she's Snuggle. Love. Look, I make the same face. Okay. This one doesn't have a title. It just says Bestie After Dark Story. So, for just a bit of quick context, I'm a man who is currently going to college with an on campus dorm living situation. One night, our basketball team wins an underdog game, so me and about 6 of my friends go back to one of our dorms and we start drinking. We all get drunk and I am almost plastered, and then we decide we want to go down to the community space to play some ping pong. So we do, and in there is a woman who was in some of my classes doing work on her laptop at one of the tables on the side. During our 4 to 5 hours in the community space, she ends up joining in on the conversation of the group, and me and her end up chatting. Mind you, we brought some drinks with us, so I am still very drunk, and she is sober. As the night goes on, my friends start peeling off to go to bed since it's getting quite late. Eventually, I walk my last friend to his room and I come back down to the community space to talk to the girl. And after a brief conversation, we start to hook up. And I'll try not to be explicit for this next part, but I can only do so much. I had slipped my hand under her waistband and I was doing my part for her, but then after a couple more minutes, she gets more undressed. That's when I noticed a bit of a smell, and I didn't think too much about it until I noticed that that smell was her nether region. I instantly sobered up as I realized she had a severe yeast infection and had never brought it up beforehand. I very quickly ended the interaction, went back to my dorm, and washed my hands like a germaphobe. However, it was so bad that if I brought my hands near my nose, I could still smell this lingering on my hands for 3 fucking days, even though I washed my hands obsessively and I used hand sanitizer hourly. The cherry on top of it all, about 5 days after this experience, she leaves her thong on my door handle, and you can see on the black pair that it was visibly dirty. Plus, it also smelled. I felt like the hazmat guys from Monsters Inc. disposing of it and sanitizing my door. Listen, babe, you know, there's the only thing that cooter should smell or taste like is cooter. Let's start there. Okay, the idea that it is going to taste like rainbows, flowers, butterflies, a chocolate chip fucking cookie, any of that. Asinine and egregious. But should it be horrific as described? No. And we can all agree on that. The title of your After Dark storytime is The Worst Ex I've Ever Had. I've been watching you for months now, and I've finally gotten the balls to submit one of my craziest stories. Buckle up, Buttercup. I was 16 getting fried at my cousin's place, and I met this 19-year-old dude. We start dating, and it was basically a 16-year-old's romantic dream for the first few months, but it got really bad. We were together for a year and a half, technically. We broke up somewhere in the middle and never officially got back together, but I was sleeping over at his place every weekend, so I still count that time. Yeah, that's usually what happens when you're a 16-year-old dating a 19-year-old. You still count that time even though he doesn't. I mean, there are grown adults that do that, but like, you know what I mean. Um, Within this year and a half relationship, he cheated on me with his ex-girlfriend multiple times, got me addicted to skiing, you know, threatened to harm, you know, his being if I left him, gave me lice. Yes, hello, officer? It's me again. I have another crime that I need to report, please. I believe I've been the outcry witness, the prompt outcry witness. Because what the fuck do you mean he gave you lice, bitch? And you were like, oh, this is fine. I'm not bringing another prop into the mix. I'm disturbed. Okay, this fell and I was picking it up. Knocked me up and basically said, I'm too young to be a dad. You're gonna have to get rid of it. I'm really sorry that you went through that, but tale as old as time, honey. Left me the day after for a girl he was evidently cheating on me with for months. The one time he lied to my face that he wasn't talking to her anymore and walked back to my cousin's place and said that girl and her bestie were there. And my cousin's girlfriend pulled up, saw the girl's car, beat her ass as she was running out of the house. Damn. Threatened to slash my father's car tires and set my kitchen on fire. We technically got back together. Then he got kicked out of my cousin's house where he was living at the time, so he moved back in with his mom. I would walk 3 miles every weekend to sleep at his mom's house. Bitch. I would walk 3 miles every weekend. I need you to understand, like, 3 miles might not be a ton. You know, it's if you're athletic, it's a leisurely hot girl walk, babe. I am imagining all of the times that, like, people will tell their kids, their grandkids, like, oh, I would walk in the snow and the rain and the sleet to get to school. I would have to walk down a mountain on a dirt road. That's what I'm imagining for you. To go see a bum at his mother's house. Do you see where I'm coming from? Okay. Where he would sleep on a mattress on the floor with a singular throw pillow that I had given him that we had to share. I know you thought that shit was gonna get better so bad. I'm sorry. He'd leave me at his mom's place every time I came over so he could go to his neighbor's and she would braid his hair. And he left me with his 8-year-old brother so that I would babysit him while his mom was at work. Every time you would walk 3 miles to go and see this man, he would leave and go to his neighbor's house so that she could spread her legs and he would sit his ass probably right about here with his head nestled up between her thighs and get his hair braided. Do you hear that? The saxophones are getting louder. He also refused to call me his girlfriend to my face at that point, but referred to me as his girlfriend to his mom. Yup. We ended up breaking up officially for the last time after he stressed me out so bad I missed my period for a whole month and thought he knocked me up again. He legit posted on his public Snapchat story that he wasn't ever going to be a real dad. Mind you, he told me he had a kid with someone else when he still lived out of state and would send money to the mom every month for school stuff. For school stuff? There were so many other things he did. I can't remember right now, but he was just so horrible to me. I saw him for the last time about 2 months after the official breakup. I was 18, clean, and had gotten him fried for the first time ever with my own stuff. Evidently, after I gardened him up, he went around and did his business for the rest of the day. He went home that night and never woke up again. Damn. I was told, I was never told his official cause of no longer being here. But at that point, he was doing so much harder stuff and mixing them with so many other things. Everyone close to him kind of knew. About a week after his funeral, his younger brother's ex-girlfriend, not the 8-year-old, there was a middle one who was about 14 at the time, ended up texting me to express how upset she was that she couldn't go to the funeral and then proceeds to tell me about a week later after we officially broke up that he tried to date her. She was 16 and he was 21. So, on top of the red flags I was constantly being given by him and still reeling over it, not knowing how I should feel about his passing, I get this massive bomb dropped on me, and it basically made me come to the conclusion that everything does happen for a reason. Damn, girl. That sucks. Like, I'm not really I'm sorry you went through that ass kind of person, but that sounds like it sucks major nuts, dude. Sucks a big fat one. So, sorry you went through that. Yeah. The title of your After Dark story time is What Happens in Vegas. So I lived near Vegas with my ex and his family. I had friends in Vegas prior to moving out there. One of my friends, we'll call him D, had recently broken up with his longtime girlfriend, but still hung out with her cousin since they'd known each other for 15 years. The cousin, let's call her B, is a working girl. I was good friends with her and sometimes went with D to be there as B's got bodyguards for a job in case things went sideways, because that line of work is not for the weak. The first and less bestie after dark part was when my ex wanted to hang out with D and B. Fast forward, we are in B's hotel room, and sometime in, my ex starts pushing D on me, making suggestions, trying to get us to hook up. Both of us are like, what the fuck? So, after getting tired of what was going on, I leave to go and get drinks and snacks. D comes with me because he's a good friend and he wanted to make sure I felt safe with all of the events that were going on. When we get back, we find my ex and B practically undressed. So I'm pissed the fuck off at this point, and it takes 3 more hours to get my ex to leave. His family is already blowing up my phone, calling me names, and said I had to make him go home with me so I couldn't drive back without him. The working girl part was relative because that same day, before he was all of a sudden all over her, when we got to her hotel, she was blasted. And I mean totally gone. She was on a mix of so many different things, it was hours before she was coherent. Her client that day had a special request. He wanted to lay on the ground while she shat in his mouth. She wanted to make sure that she did not remember this experience. Okay, am I wrong to say I don't think that that's like that intense of an experience that you're like, I need to be so blasted on a mix of like extremely hard shit that I can't form memories? Okay, if he was shitting into your mouth, I would get it. But girl, you better squat and drop. What? And you better have charged him a bunch of fucking money. If she looked like she was hooked on a bunch of different shit, like if she was ahead, yeah, he probably just paid pennies on the dollar to have his mouth shat in. But seriously, I just don't see, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong for that. Am I wrong? Like, if she was eating shit, I would get it, but she's not. She's feeding the shit. Anyways, after telling us about her work day, that's when my ex started flirting with her and trying to get me to hook up with D so that he could hook up with B. Did they ever hook up? I don't know. At this point, he'd already been FaceTiming girls to jerk it under the covers while I was already. I'm sorry, what? He had already been FaceTiming other girls to jerk it under the covers while I was in the same bed as him. Girl, why is that not the first admission that where someone has said that? What is wrong with them? And did you consider giving them a concussion? Just saying. I didn't realize my webcam is literally on the freaking floor. Didn't break though. Okay. The title of your After Dark story time is Mr. Wrong. So I met the father of my children when I was 16. We had a one-night stand, and he has his first child on the way already when he was 20, and I'm 16. Fast forward to me being 18, he sees me walking and gives me a ride. He gives me a ride home, and after that, it was history. He seemed like the perfect boyfriend. He was funny and nice, and he took me on dates all of the time. We would enjoy each other's company, and I became a stepmom at the raw age of 18. I would take care of his daughter, who I love, and I don't regret this at all. I would just do whatever he needed done while he worked, and then the abuse slowly started sneaking in. It started with remarks to throwing things, and then I found out I was pregnant with our first when I was 19. I was scared and excited, and he and his mom ruined my moment. They told me that I shouldn't be happy. I should be mad because I am not mother material. What? And mad at who? God? The universe? God. So fast forward, the abuse turns into not long after our daughter was born. He started choking me and punching me, spitting in my face, degrading me, calling me fat. And then I had another child with him, so I felt even more stuck. I stayed for 7 years and finally left him 7 months ago after he punched me in the face in front of his entire family, and they all stuck up for him, saying I should have moved and it was my fault for not moving. Moving out of the way of his fist? Like, something's just not clicking for me here. It's not clicking. It gets hard sometimes because what kept me in the relationship for so long was the hope he would become that man again. And I just remind myself he was never that man and it was a fake personality. You took the words right out of my mouth, honey. Okay. Your character, like your true character, who you are, your morals, your values, your ethics, those are unchanging for the most part, right? You may be introduced to new experiences, new stimulus, and they give you new perspectives, new perceptions. But, honey, you just don't magically wake up one day and go from being a good man to somebody that beats the fuck out of a woman in front of his family, and I'm assuming likely your children. Okay. He was never a good man. He just wasn't ready to show you that he was a horrible one. And that's, I think, usually where the line is between people who are just like bad people and people that are like legitimately abusers looking to take advantage of someone who likely is not expecting that, right? Because when you see an abuser get into their own like abusive relationship where they're being abused back, that's when the tables turn, honey. Like, ugh, I hate this. Um, I'm happy he moved 12 hours away, but at the same time, it's hard because our kids miss their dad, and he chose to date a convicted child abuser who dragged her 2-year-old child by the hair on Facebook Live as his new girlfriend, and I won't let her around my kids. Well, thank God they have at least one good parent, huh? As you shouldn't let her around your children. Okay, I have long since said this. Okay, and like why was the child on Facebook Live? Well, let's start there. Like, I don't really like that very much. And I understand it's easy for me to say that, like, as a creator that does not have children. But, I do think that there are a lot of creators that deeply consider, like, the risk and impact to their child of putting them on social media and having them, in a public platform with a presence, even as like a small child. And there's a lot of people that don't think about it at all. And on that note, if she knew that she was being recorded, people could see her. Um, and she was comfortable doing that, knowing that people could see her, knowing that people would become aware of this. What do you think that she was doing when she thought people could not see her and would not know about it? I don't like this at all. You are a very good mother, at the very least. No, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to offend you when I say this, But to be honest, keeping your child away from an abusive person shouldn't make you a good parent. It should be the bare minimum. It should be your responsibility as someone who brought a human being into this world to protect them until they are in a position to protect themselves. Okay, so I think that you're a good mom based on all of the other information at hand, but also, like, that's just what you're supposed to do, you know? So there's always a fight, and also the anger I do still feel from the trauma and abuse. And might I add, he would also beat me in front of our 2 children. I knew it. I knew it. Yes. So at the very least, right? I don't know if you have sons, daughters, somewhere in between, but you are at the very least setting a precedent that either this precedent that this behavior is acceptable, and that either it is okay for them to do this or it is okay for them to be treated this way. And you won't know until they are in a position where they are going through the motions of that experience. So, yeah, good for you. I mean, even if it took you, what you said, 7 years, honey, it takes a lot of people a really long time. So, the most important thing is that you did leave. And even though it's hard right now, even though your kids miss their dad, like the you're still doing what's best for them as their parent, and that is imperative. I hope you read this, and even if you don't, it still felt really good to get this off of my chest. I'm now a young single mom of 2, and I'm really trying to heal from this abuse and raise my kids alone, but it's hard and it hurts. However, I would rather be alone than to let my child think that that's what love looks like. And I know that you are already well on your path to healing because everything that I had to say about this, you already said. So I wish you and your kids all the best. And yeah, if you need anything within reason, I'd be sharing kids fucking Girl Scout cookie links and shit if they're in an extracurricular. You know how I do. I got a special place in my heart for single moms, especially young ones, especially ones getting out of rough situations, because you'll never guess how I grew up, like as a child, seeing this, experiencing this as the child. So, yeah, I wish you all the best, girl. On to the next. I hope it is like a big fluffy bullshit hookup story, because that was kind of heavy. The title of your After Dark story time is, well, what happened was, so I met the love of my life through a girl I used to work with in my hometown, right? We'll call her S. We hit it off immediately, and after a couple of weeks, she asked me to go home with her to have a 3-way with her and her man. Mind you, I was on the hard shit at this time. He was on that stuff. I get it. I'm currently in recovery for IV uppers. And I was using them for years, and I've been in recovery for a few years now. This is somewhat important to this story. Her boyfriend, let's call him A, came home from work after we were at their place for about a half hour or so, and girl, when I tell you that this man made my fucking heart stop, I wish I was joking. It ended up attempting to be a 4-way, but after we all got hello. That's so fun. I should start saying that. Instead of hi, we all got hello. Okay, add it to the dictionary. Because I don't know if you mean like you're fried like how I'm getting fried, or if you're like fucked. So you're getting real hello. That's so stupid, but that's how it is, babe. That's how it is. Okay, there's an inherent level of censorship that I have to abide by. I hate it. You should see the shit I be saying in my Discord. Nothing crazy. But like, if I need an answer from the group and no one replies to me, I'll be like, someone reply before I take all of you out. And then myself. And then I'll be like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say shit like that. That was so intense. I didn't mean it. I just have a horrible sense of humor. I'm so the asides on Bestie After Dark be so fucked. The fourth participant ends up freaking out. Yeah, okay, y'all are hello. Got it. While S is talking her down from the edge in the other room, A and I just start vibing. Like, we just sat there and talked the whole night and laughed and joked. He saw pretty quickly that after Homegirl lost her shit, I was no longer comfortable with our sensual plans for the night, but he never made me feel any type of way about it. He was so sweet. This was about 13 years ago now, and he and I have always been best friends, but we never dated, right? Well, I'm happy to report that after being in love with each other for all of this time and always cheating on our partners every single time, either of us called the other. I'm pregnant with his kid, and we've been together for almost 10 months now. Love is wild. Why did y'all keep cheating on every single person along the way? If you knew that every time you talked to each other, you were gonna cheat on whoever you were with, why didn't you just get together? Why did it take you getting knocked up to get together? And maybe I'm wrong to ask that, but honey, you came on my show and asked for my opinion. Why? I'm at a loss. It is rare that I am speechless, but really, I wouldn't count this as speechless. I would count this as, bitch, I got some questions. Get your ass here, and I need you to answer them. Oh my god, the title of your After Dark story time is Blown Booty Hole. That is not mine. Hi, Bestie. Hello. Okay, so this happened not too long ago. I was on Facebook dating, testing it out, and I matched with this guy, right? We'll call him Brad. Anyways, we start texting. He's telling me that I'm pretty and how he wants to hang out, but it's about to be Thanksgiving and I'm planning to be with my family. He wants to come and see me and is basically begging for me to come over. One night, I finally say, all right, I'm coming. But he says, never mind, and basically has an attitude. So I turn my happy ass around and I go home and I go to bed. Please keep this in mind for later in the story. Okay, so I ghost him for a bit because I do not like sassy men. He randomly texts me about joining me on errands, and I say sure. I go pick him up and go shoe shopping. He says that he's going to stay in the car because he has anxiety about being in public, but I think nothing of it, and I go get what I need. There's many things happening here, and I don't actually like any of them. I don't know if you, I don't know if you're picking up on that vibe. We start chatting. He's telling me all about this money he has, and he shows me his bank account like that's supposed to impress me. He says that he can give me an allowance. My grandmother then calls. She asks me to go pick up groceries for dinner, and he's like, let's go to Walmart. And I say, okay. I get what I need, and he asks to borrow cash from me because he left his card at the house and needs to get something for his son. I'm thinking, okay, it's for a baby, and he said that he's going to pay me back. And we start making out. He's trying to get me to sleep with him, but I say that I'm on my period because I don't give it up on the first meet. The first meetup was you guys went shopping and he sat in the car. And then you went to Walmart and he asked for money. Do you hear that part? Well, after I drop him off at home, he stops responding to my messages. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then he asked me to hang out again. So once again, I go pick him up because he said his brother was using his car. There is no car! There's not gonna be a pool, you stupid bitch. There is no car. Mind you, he has me park on the side of the building away from everyone's eyesight. That should have been a big red flag, and I don't know why it didn't click. Then he tells me he can work on my car and fix the problems I have with it and have it back to me in 2 days. I've been waiting for him to steal your car this whole story, honey. Like, this whole story, babe. I believe him, because he love bombed the fuck out of me. I'm a big girl. No man has made me feel wanted before now, so this is new, and I put my trust in him. After a week of him having my car, my grandma is like, "Where is your car? Is he bringing it back? We need it." I think that she's tripping. She's not. I tell her, "Be patient. He's working on it." You told your grandmother to be patient. He's working on it. You defended a fucking man against your grandmother who was 100% right. I'm not fucking with you. Fast forward a few more weeks. I have to leave to go visit my mom, and my car is still not back. He's been dodging me, making up excuses, asking to borrow money, saying he needs it to fix the car and to bring my car to me. Bitch, I would have called the police and reported that fucking car stolen so goddamn fast. We go on a trip, me and my grandmother both. While I'm visiting my mom, I get a text on his Facebook, and it seems a little off. Then I get a call. A girl is on the other line, and she tells me that she is his now ex-girlfriend. She just kicked him out of the house that I've been dropping him off and picking him up from. He has not been working on my car. He's just been driving it around, and so has she. When she found my perfume and things in there, he told her that I was his cousin and that I just had a bunch of perfume because I'm big and I didn't want to smell bad. And the reason I was so big is because I am Samoan. I'm not. Samoan is crazy. Anyways, she spills the tea on how he's been cheating on her and me with both men and women and scamming them. He's homeless with no money, so he steals money and cars. He's been inviting men to her house to do him. Sometimes multiple men are running choo-choos on him, and he's using them to get money out of them. Listen, y'all be calling me all kinds of phobics and ists and isms and shit for nothing. But can I just say, he could have at least topped. Jesus Christ. Um, Hence my title. I file a police report. I hear nothing. I'm like, okay, lost cause. I start talking to this new guy who is my current boyfriend. He told me that he knows about him from his time in jail, and he was getting his back blown out by every dude in there that liked men. Then a month later, I get a letter in the mail that my car has been towed. I call them and they say whoever was driving my car got arrested and my car was towed. I tell them I reported my car stolen and they tell me that they'll take something off, but it'll still be over 2K to get it out. Again, I give up on my car and I move on. Then his ex-girlfriend texts me saying he's been trying to get back with her and she logged into his Facebook again and he's still doing the same thing. But she unblocked me so I could get closure. But it's done. I'm over it and I got a new man. Because he's still got his ass blown out. What? The title of your After Dark story time is My Proudest Petty Revenge. This story happened about a decade ago now. I was around 24. I'm also bi, which is relevant to the story. My then boyfriend D and I were pretty open, and I will admit he was absolutely incredible in bed. knew all the right spots and exactly how to use them. He opened me up to learning my own interests, but back to the story. We agreed we were open, but our time was our time until he met S. She said she agreed to our agreement, but conveniently, every time I was with him, she would have some kind of crisis that required her needing him immediately. She would literally call sobbing, saying that she was going to take a forever nap because she couldn't find her favorite snack at the store. He even commented on how she never called him as much when I wasn't around. But he kept giving in to her cries and never cutting her loose. I'd finally had enough and I ended it. As good of a D as D had, he just was not worth it anymore. Fast forward about 3 months, and I guess he was getting bored with her, so he called me. He asked if I wanted to chow down on some carpet, and I laughed and I said, no, I'm good. Until he told me it was with S. I don't know what evil, petty gremlin awoke in me, but I said, yeah, you know what? Why not? And I headed over to his place. Once I was there, it was kind of awkward at first, and boy, was she giving me the stink eye. I, of course, pretended not to notice and was just as lovely and kind as could be. Once things got moving, he wanted me to do my glug glug thing because he said in front of her that I am the best at it. Then he wanted her to go downtown on me and he on her. Well, she was awful, and he could tell I did not like it. So this man starts telling her that she needs to do better, telling her how good I taste and that he knows it, how mine is actually his favorite taste. After things switched up and he put her on to ride, she was slow and boring and kept making these kind of weird noises. He literally lifted her off, put on a new rubber, and put me on while she just laid there. I knew that it was my time to shine. I put on the best show of my life. I read him like a bull. But we honestly got lost in it and completely forgot that she was there. Until after we both finished and were panting in bliss and we hear the faintest cry. I look over and I see her sobbing. He went to comfort her and I start getting dressed. He asked me to come and lay with them and I responded, no, I'm good. This was fun and all, but I don't need you anymore. And clearly, she still does. He said, let me walk you to your car at least. I was fully prepared to say no. I didn't want or need him to walk me. But S audibly scoffed at this. She was so offended that he would care about me while she was crying. So I said, of course, thanks, that would be great. Once at my car, he said, I know what you were doing up there. And I responded, you better go take care of her then. I got in my car and I left without another word. He still hits me up from time to time and I don't respond. It's one of my favorite petty memories, and I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. It's one of my proudest moments. Hey, girl. The title of your After Dark story time is Thanksgiving Tinder Date 2019. The weird part of this story is what happened after the hookup, but I need to set you up for context. At the time, I was deep in my hoe phase. It's no surprise this story takes place on a national holiday. It was Thanksgiving, and I'd been talking to this guy for a few days on Tinder, and we were both ready to get it in like rabbits. He claimed to have nowhere to go for dinner that night as his mom had recently passed. Something about a sad, pitiful man turns me on, I fear. So I loaded up a plate from my own celebration and I brought it with me to this man's house. The unpaid wife behavior is crazy, but lesson learned. The minute we saw each other, the chemistry started to flow. We did it all over the house, in the living room, the bedroom, even the bathroom. He didn't know where everything was, but he was huge, and that's all that I appreciated in my early 20s. But we ended up staying undressed and walking around the house, which is important. We stayed like this together for several hours, just hanging out. It was a 10 out of 10 experience. I had such a good time, I agreed to stay the night against my better judgment. I had a terrible time sleeping while he was passed out. I tossed and turned, and when I checked my phone, it was 4:30 a.m. I get to I get up and I go to the bathroom, completely nude, and I lay back down. Then all of a sudden, I hear keys in the front door. It opens and it closes. He told me he lived He told me he lived alone, so I begin to panic. Maybe he has a roommate? But then his bedroom door opens. I'm so scared that I pretend to be asleep. This person walks over to the bed, peers over at us for several minutes, and then closes the door behind them. My head is racing. Did his wife just walk in on me in his bed? I finally hear them retreat into another room and I book it out of there. I block him on everything immediately after. And it wasn't until we rematch on Tinder several weeks later that he said he actually lives with his dad. And that is who came in to peer in on us that night. This begs the question, why was his 85-year-old father out until 4:30 a.m. on Thanks fucking Giving Day of all days? And the only reason I know he was telling the truth is because he ended up becoming well known locally for what I would call having an incel account on TikTok. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of Bestie After Dark. If you would like to see all of Bad all at once, you can visit my website, ycbestie.com, and subscribe for early access on Saturdays, or visit my YouTube at ycbestie on Mondays. Thanks again.